Check, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Alright, let's do this. Hello and welcome to the first episode of my sports podcast on Fern's Hot Take Sports. To keep it simple, I'm your host, or the one talking about all this stuff, Nick Fernbaugh. And there's no sense being around the bush. Let's get right into it. So, with the whole corona pandemic going on, everything has been looking towards the NFL, with free agency and draft, and both kind of having an overarching kind of theme of quarterbacks, with a lot of teams moving on or potentially drafting a quarterback that's going to help them for the future. Whether it be teams going older with Tom Brady to the Bucs or Philip Rivers to the Colts, or teams looking to go through the draft like Joe Burrow to the Bengals. Pretty much everybody's expecting that. However, there was one team that I personally think completely missed the mark on who they should have got a quarterback. And I'm going to be talking about the Chicago Bears. So it started in 2017 with their number 2 pick. They took Mitchell Trubisky out of North Carolina. And after his rookie year, they stocked up on defense, picked him up some offensive weapons like Allen Robinson and Trey Burton, and the Bears were good. They went 12-4, and Mitchell Trubisky put up solid numbers. I'm going to be looking at my notebook because I just kept small notes of things that I'm going to be trying to keep myself on task with. So in 2018, Mitchell Trubisky put together 3,223 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions to post a QB rating of 95.4. Now those aren't insane numbers, but that's a foundation. That's a foundation that any team could build around. And it was solid enough to take him to the playoffs, win the North for the first time in almost 10 years. Now we all know what happened after. Double joint captained, Cody Parkey became a meme, and the Bears were out of the playoffs. But there was a lot of hype with that Bears squad. If Mitchell Trubisky just fine-tuned some of the issues of consistency that plagued him last year, Bears looked like one of the top threats in the league. When you guessed it, Mitchell Trubisky let down the Bears again. In 2018, he played 14 games. In 2019, he played one extra game, and these were his numbers. He put up 3,138 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 10 picks. That's with an extra game. And the same overall offense. That's not good. That's quite bad, actually. Mitchell Trubisky took a giant step back. It was a lot of things. He was missing wide open guys. He was making the wrong reads. He would regularly miss deep throws, or just a lot of throws. And when the team constantly needed him to bail him out, he would always let him down. So, at this point, the Bears needed to go with another option. Bears fans were just begging Ryan Pace and the Chicago Bears staff to go find another option, or at least give him someone to compete with. With players like Mariota, the trade for Cam Newton, Jameis Winston, there was a lot of options out there. Who did they go with? They give up a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles. Why? This was such a bad decision by the Bears front office. And before I get into the whole thing, I don't want to entirely just throw all the blame at Mitchell Trubisky if some people think that that's all I'm doing. I'll let him off on one thing. He definitely had a lot more pressure to deal with. And the fact that in 2018, his O-line was 11th, and he only had 24. He only gave up 24 sacks. And in 2019, they were ranked 25th, and he got sacked 38 times. That's a massive spike in sacks and just overall inconsistent bad play from their O-line. But Nick Foles is not their answer. Nick Foles has pretty much been a career backup player his whole life. And while he looked good in the games he needed to against Philly, when he got the starting job for Jacksonville, he got injured, and when he came back to be the starter, he was severely underwhelming. He played on an O-line that's borderline the same. Jacksonville's offensive line in 2019 was 26, one step lower below the Bears. And your options are, at this point, for the Bears, a QB with consistency and accuracy issues, or a QB who's really been a backup, who, while yes is more accurate, has less arm talent, and is a lot less mobile, on a team with a bad O-line. That's why I say the Bears have a QB problem. And it's pretty clear with that, they're not going to draft a QB. If they do, it's just going to be someone random they keep as a backup on the practice squad. So they got to pray that Mitchell Trubisky seriously fixes things. And if he does, then this video could make me look really bad, and I'm fine with that. Because I want Mitchell Trubisky to get better, but with how I see things, Bears have a massive QB problem that they didn't fix. And that's going to continue for a while. Considering they passed up on players like Patrick Mahomes, who won the Super Bowl, and Deshaun Watson. Oh boy. And they didn't do much to address the O-line. Bears fans, I wish I had some encouraging words, but you guys are probably going to be very frustrated for a while. And you guys have rights to be frustrated. And from a team that just took a loss in terms of quarterback in free agency to a team that just took an overall loss, L, you know what I'm talking about, in free agency, is the Los Angeles Rams. Now this makes me personally happy as a Seahawks fan, but overall I feel bad for Rams fans with how bad they handled free agency. We all know what happened. The Rams were one of the best teams in 2018. Strong offense, a really solid defense, breezing past the playoffs, kind of got lucky with, we all know what happened with the Saints getting, well, screwed over by a call in the championship, which will never die forever, which is fair. So the Rams being one game away from winning a Super Bowl to losing in incredibly painful fashion against the Patriots. And while, yes, the Rams lost players, everyone still expected them to dominate in 2019 with massive questions with teams like the Seahawks and the 49ers. They should have been front runners for that division. They went 9-7, took massive steps back on both ends of the ball, and missed the playoffs, while also giving up a lot to get Jalen Ramsey from the Jaguars, who was overall underwhelming and very overrated for how much they gave up. And overall, the Rams just looked mediocre. They were not entertaining to watch at any point in the year. And that leads to a lot of problems on the fact that they overpaid. They paid almost the entire bulk of their money on 5 players: Jared Goff, Tyler Higbee, Todd Gurley, Andrew Wentworth, and Aaron Donald. So you could tell most of that was put on the offensive side of the ball. And not even on the right players, it seemed like. So whereas I hurt defense, over the past 2 years, they have lost so many players. LaMarcus Joyner, Corey Littleton, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, Nickel Roby-Coleman, Ndamukong Suh. I could keep going on. They lost so many. Mark Barron. And now they're just kind of lost. They kept Michael Brockers. Yay. They got Leonard Floyd for a year. Are those going to be long-term things? No. And what seems like Seattle having good stability with their team, and the Cardinals who just got D-Hop, Rams are looking in a bad spot. And the biggest problem for them, not many draft picks. And I don't think they have a first-round draft pick for the next 2 years. This comes at the cost of trying to build a whole squad for 1 year and not getting the job done. And now Rams fans, if things don't improve next year, the Rams are looking to be in a bad place going forward, considering they've paid so much in what feels like the wrong players. Now enough about free agency, because the whole point is that this is going up on the night, or I'm recording this, to be more clear, on the night of the first round of the NFL draft. And I could be cliche and talk about Joe Burrow's so good, he's going to be the #1 pick, he's going to the Bengals, he's the most talented quarterback in almost a long time since Andrew Luck, blah, 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 blah. Why would I need to do that? Everybody sees what the dude's capable of. Everybody knows what he's capable of. I wanted to talk about two quarterbacks who are very high up. Two I feel completely polar opposites about. I want to start with the one I feel really confident with, depending on where he goes. And that is going to be Alabama's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Now, most quarterbacks get their college debut, whether it be the start of the year or in a game, that doesn't really matter. For Tua, try getting put in the national championship in the second half. Some way to give a kid baptism by fire into the college football league. But he won the championship, came back against Clemson, and when he came back the next 2 years, he just overall showed like he was getting better and better each game. He was never perfect, but he had so much talent, especially inside the pocket, with good footwork, good arm mechanics, and because people are so skeptical, he's a left-handed quarterback, so his mechanics look so much worse. If you take a picture and you flip it right side and you compare it to someone like Joe Burrow, his mechanics are very similar. I think people just get very skeptical of quarterbacks with left hands because it's not too common. So everybody at this point expects him to be the second overall quarterback taken, either by Miami, most likely Miami. Say Miami doesn't take him, probably the Chargers. One of those two teams are taking him, I'm expecting. And we all seen what he can do, and overall, the pros are so high with Tua. Because with his arm, it's amazing. He's made so many NFL-level throws that if you threw him on a team, he could still make those throws. He's got so much talent with his arm. So much talent reading defenses. But there are definitely, he's not perfect. There are definitely cons when you come to looking at Tua Tagovailoa. Biggest one, we all know what it is. It's the injuries. The injuries have piled up. 2 high ankle sprains, a knee injury, knee or leg injury, and a dislocated hip, which is why I think he might not be able to rotate his hips as well as he's making it out to be. He looked okay in the combine, but when you looked at the amount of rotation in his hips, I I saw better rotation from players like Jordan Love, Justin Herbert than Tua, and I'm worried. Is the amount of rotation he's able to put in his hips, my bad, going to be overall worse because of the hip dislocation back last year against Mississippi State? And it also leads to an issue of potentially a lack of mobility. He was fighting high ankle sprains, so we never got to see how mobile he really is. And in the pocket, especially against the Clemson game, he looked like Russell Wilson with the way he was able to move around and make plays happen. But I didn't see that, and I don't know if he still has the amount of mobility on him. And with better talent in the NFL, that could be a big issue on a league that's highly changing the quarterbacks that need to have some level of mobility to be as successful. And this could really get bad if he gets drafted by the wrong team. Say a team like the Redskins or the Lions take him. He gets put into a bad system with shaky O-line. And things just don't look great. And the injuries could definitely pop up. He needs to be on a team with a good O-line, which is why I really hope the Chargers take him. As much as I like Miami's system, their O-line was historically bad. Worst in the league. Dead last in almost every single stat. So him going could really spell trouble. But these are just small things. I believe wherever he goes, he's going to leave a positive impact right from the word go. But I think this is definitely a franchise quarterback. And I definitely am excited to see where he goes tonight. Oh, wow. If y'all stayed through for all this, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have any ideas of either players I should do a look at or college players you want me to take a look at, please leave them in the comments. I want to hear from what you guys want to say, along with just my own personal feedback as I go do this more often, and hopefully don't stutter as much as I do. But I wanted to end this off by talking about a quarterback who, I'm going to be honest, I'm not impressed. Not at all. I'm very unimpressed by this kid. That's Oregon's quarterback, Justin Herbert. He is one of the quarterbacks who's been in college for 4 years. He's a senior. People, by looking at everything, they expect him to be the clear number 3. The clear number 3. And I was scratching my head on this one, and I was like, really? This is the number 3? Because, I'm going to be honest, when making a list of quarterbacks, I put him around 5 or 6. I'm not impressed with this kid. After looking at so much film of him, I've made a list of pros and cons, and there is way more cons than there are pros of Justin Herbert. But I'm not willing to just throw a kid under the bus and say I have no hope, and he can't develop, and he can't make it. There are some positive things about him, and I want to start with this. The positive is, any issues that I'm about to talk about, these are all fixable. They take time. He cannot go and be thrown into a starting job right off the gate. That is just setting him up for failure with the things I'm about to say. The second thing I want to talk about that was overall good of him was he has good corner. He can throw a really good corner out, especially a deep corner out. Because it's the throw that just really, almost all the time, just requires a bullet. It doesn't require lobbing the ball up. Those kind of throws he can make over and over and over again with consistency. And the last thing is, when everything does go right, he looks incredible. When the defense makes it right, when he reads the defense correctly, when he makes the correct read, when he throws the ball perfectly, when it's in the vicinity of his receiver, the plays look amazing. Better than Jordan Love's and better than Jake Fromm's. I'll give him that. When you listen to these cons and you see he is the number 3 overall quarterback prospect in the draft, you're going to be scratching your head along with me in why. In terms of cons, there is so many. The biggest one for me, and this is so bad, is his footwork. No one looks at the footwork. Nobody looks at the footwork. But when you take a deep dive, and when you see a lot of the missed throws he has, he'll make his first read. His footwork looks good. He'll make a second read, and his footwork still looks relatively good. By his third, fourth, and especially his fifth reads, his footwork is gone. It's terrible. It's non-existent. It's just awful to watch. And the bad footwork leads to so much inaccuracy. It leads to miles of inaccuracy. And this hurts me so much when I watch him. It hurts me. I want to just throw them and make the perfect pass to them when I'm watching them. He'll miss so many easy throws. And you know, quarterbacks will miss easy throws occasionally. That happens. It's life. But Justin Herbert misses what feels like 3 to 4 easy throws per game. I don't see this with Tua. I don't see this with Jordan Love. I don't see this with Joe Burrow. He'll miss simple screens. He'll miss curls. He'll miss slants. He'll miss simple out routes. Come on, man. Those are very alarming signs for a guy that everyone expects to be so high. Really? I'm not convinced. And this next point I'm about to bring up is probably the thing that makes me the most angry about him. It feels like every throw is the same. It always looks like a bullet, like a fastball. He doesn't put any touch in his throws. Every throw looks the same. When he needs to make a lob, he's throwing a bullet straight at players. This regularly leads to him getting tipped, picked, or missing the throw entirely. And I cannot count how many times he either sailed a pass over a guy's head or just overall whiffed on an easy pass because he put too much on the ball. I would run out of hands by the first 2 games. By the first 4 or 5 games. It was so frustrating to watch. He's not good at improvising plays. I've watched him when things break down, when he gets regular pressure, which he's never really able to tell, in my opinion. It doesn't ever seem like he knows when there's a blitz coming. He just cannot improvise plays. He'll scramble to the side, and then if nothing's available, he'll just take a sack. Like, really? You could throw the ball out of bounds, but you're taking the sack. That's bad decision making that will eat you alive in the NFL. In terms of reading defenses, he's bang average. He's like average to below average at reading defenses. And here's the thing. If I'm talking about all this and the kid's a freshman or a sophomore, I wouldn't be making a video about this. I wouldn't be talking about this. He's a senior. He's been in college 4 years. Why has there been no improvement? Why has there been no improvement? You've had all this time to adjust things and make things right each year. When you watch quarterbacks, and I know I've been saying this a lot, but Tua made improvements each year. Joe Burrow easily made improvements each year. Jordan Love, as much as it didn't show, he made improvements each year. Justin Herbert looks like the same quarterback every game. Actually, no, that's a lie. The reason he looks the same is because you never know what you're going to get from him. That's the most alarming thing. You want to know why I talked about the Bears starting off with a QB problem? Because I look at Justin Herbert and I think of Mitchell Trubisky. I think of him 1,000 times. He is almost exactly like Mitchell Trubisky. All the talent in the world, but with no consistency. And he is projected to be a top 10 pick like Mitchell Trubisky. It just doesn't make sense. And if he gets taken early, he cannot start. I hope he falls and ends up on a team with a good system. Like the Ravens, like the Patriots. There's so many teams that if you take him and he starts right off the gate, it is just destined for disaster. And I'm very concerned. And if I'm I'm an NFL fan, and I watch his film, I would be highly concerned for taking him on my team as well. It's one of those things where it just crosses your head, and you're just thinking, this is bad to watch. He is a project that cannot start. And I don't understand why he's rated so highly. So that was my first ever podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you do, please like, comment on things you want me to talk about for next time podcast where I'll bring a little sneak peek. I'll be bringing a special guest with me for next time. So definitely keep in tune for next week. And overall, I'm just so excited for this. If you enjoyed this, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. I hope you all enjoyed this. Peace out till the next week.